Hello, good day, everyone.
Welcome back, everybody.
It's your favorite coaches,
Howard.
and LaRonda Johnson.
It's his.
Plus hers
Equals ours. So this week, I'm coming with you with a topic about vows, marriage vows. Wow.
Marriage vows, wedding vows, vows, whatever you want to say it. How it is.
I vow that I shall vow thee very vowed. Yeah, like that. Anyway, so sometimes, you kind of got to look at your marriage vows and is it really, are you going with the traditional vows or are you going to write your own vows? Or are you going to have somebody write them for you? Right.
So as we were coming up with this topic that we want to talk about, I'm like, I didn't even know that over 40-something% of people do non-traditional vows, meaning that they make up their own vows, special words. People look for poems. They do poems. They do just something real simple like I love you, just simple words, but it's something, words of expression, love, appreciation, whatever that they want to say. But over 40-some%, and that was, I was doing research, so that was 2017, 18 when that was actually taken. So 40-some% of people actually does non-traditional versus traditional vows.
Kind of makes you think about it a little bit. And when you go to get married, it's an extremely special day. So it's something that, do you want to express it in your own words? Are you not really good with words? Do you want to try to find you a professional vow writer? And yes, they do exist. Matter of fact, she just told me that they exist. So, it's one thing to look at is what do you really want to say on that most special day of your life? Is it with this ring I thee wed or however they go? I really don't remember them. I'm being completely honest with you. But the whole thing about it is that would I remember it more if I wrote them? Most definitely. It's something that is deeply rooted inside of you because when you go down the aisle, and for that would be for them. For us, we're already standing there waiting for them to come down. And the thoughts that we have in our head when we see our beautiful bride coming down the aisle, and it's like the traditional vows might not encompass everything that we feel and everything that we want to say and how we want to enter into a life of marriage with our significant other.
Yes, and I've seen it where, because my husband know I love wedding movies and things like that, or just shows on weddings and stuff.
Chick flicks. Yeah, I don't really get down with them.
But even some reality shows that have the wedding vows and stuff,
Bridezilla.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I really didn't so much like that one because they were just going too extreme. But I definitely love them because I love to see the guy's face as the bride is coming down, his expression, what is he thinking? That's what I'm thinking, what is he thinking? But a lot of times they just it's this hard smile on their face. But then also as a woman, you looking at your man what the heck? So for us, we did what they would call shotgun weddings. So we went and to the Justice of the Peace and got married. So
yeah, pow.
So that's how we started out. But then our 12th year anniversary, we was just maybe we should do a wedding. We kept saying it time and time again throughout the years, we should do a wedding, we should have a wedding, we should have a wedding. I think every woman wants that wedding day. And, initially I did too, but I'm not that traditional, I didn't really have to have it. I didn't really, I'm that type, if I really don't know you, I don't really necessarily want to invite you.
I laugh because she said she didn't really have to have it, but I felt she had to have it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was
being stressed slightly more than not being stressed. So,
but I think every woman have that dream of walking down the aisle, having that dress, blah, blah, blah. But so I had gotten to that point where it was it really didn't matter to me. But then as time went, and I'm seeing different people going to different weddings and watching all these wedding shows and stuff, I'm I think I want me a wedding. I want to be able to dress up with the dress and all the makeup and the hair and all of that stuff. But I still only wanted certain people there. then I realized like we were having like so many different people passing away, like my mom, his dad, grandparents, and people that meant so much to us. And it was like they weren't able to share that day with us.
It felt like the most important, the people that we were closest to, weren't able to be there. And it felt almost like, even though we accomplished something that we wanted to, like something was still missing.
Yeah.
And it's always kind of been like that. It's like when we actually had our wedding, I wore a hat that my dad had wore when him and my mom renewed their vows. And it was, to me, like, this is the only thing that I have of my father's besides these wonderful looks that I have. It's the only thing that I had of my father that could actually be there with me in that day. You know, and it was a tough day. It really was. Like, it was a joyous day, but then we had the thought process of who all was missing.
Yeah.
And, you know, that can play a toll. It can really play a toll on you.
So that's one thing to have. And the whole point of like having a wedding is having people there to witness your commitment to one another.
And your vows.
Yes. And so, so those should be like your support team. You know, I know people have like elaborate weddings and they invite like 200, 300, 500, like all these different people. But it's like, we never wanted that. We've always been like that type, like whoever's in our circle, family that's been there supporting us, family in general, like there. That's who we wanted there, and friends. So we wasn't like, oh, let's send this out to auntie's friend of the friend of the friend, like all these different people, and I'm like, no. We're not gonna do that.
Not a fan of crowds like that.
Yeah. But we did, like I said, we had it at our 12th year of marriage, and it was like, as my husband said, like it was like bittersweet because, you know, like you said, he had his dad, and I had my mom's ring. So it was one of her rings that she had, that I had given her like some years ago. So that's what I wore on that day to just kind of have her close to me, or felt like she was close to me. But I feel like if you're going to have a wedding, is that, you know, with your vows, and I've seen people, and let me go back to that. I've seen people do the traditional and non-traditional at the same time because they wanted like that base. I think the base part of like the traditional vows, like to death do us part, rich or poor, sickness and the health, like those different things, I felt like was important for us to actually verbally say and say it in the front of people, our family and friends that have been supporting us over the years. And I think like sometimes from time to time, like those vows go over in my head, times that I may be sick, he may be sick.
How many of y'all really mean it when you say it though? Because if you think about the gravity, like the literal weight of the words that you say, even though no matter what you say, it never hits the ground because words are infinite. You cannot literally say anything and watch your words hit the ground. It's impossible. It's a sound wave. It constantly moves throughout all time. So when you speak these vows, the gravity of these vows are heavy because when you're telling your significant other that, hey, I'm going to love you no matter what through sickness and health. Like, in health is easy. When you healthy is easy. But when you have to carry your spouse and take care of them, you never know what happens. Like, there are some people who, shortly after getting married, there was diagnosis that, you know what I'm saying, could not be reversed. So they might have ended up in a wheelchair. Are you willing to carry your spouse to the bathroom? Are you willing to bathe them? Are you willing to take care of them and feed them if this be one of the sicknesses or illnesses that has occurred in your life? And then will you fulfill your vow is that question. Because you have to understand that when you tell someone that you love them, a lot of people say it, but they don't really mean it because they don't know what it means. when I tell my wife I love her, I tell her I love her because it means that I will carry you through anything. It means that I will do whatever it takes to see you smile. I will pick you up if I have to. And we've been through this. And you know, there was a time earlier on in our marriage where she was ill, and I literally had to carry her from room to room. And you know what? I was willing to do that. And that was at one of my most immature times in my life too. But at that point in time, it wasn't about me. You know, I put everything about me, even though that's what I was thinking about through all those years. I put it all to the side because at that point, it became about her. Like, I wanted to make sure that she was okay. I wanted to make sure that she was well taken care of. Even now, you know, she don't really eat all the time. And it's like, what did you eat? I'm always constantly asking her, like, what did you eat? What did you eat? And it'd be like 11 o'clock at night, and I'd be like, what'd you eat today? I had some grapes. Like, are you serious? You need substance. So I will come home from work or whatever, and I will fix her something to eat because I want to make sure that she is taken care of.
Yeah, though, I mean, you know, it just be times where it's like, I don't know what, if
it happens too often.
If I really don't know what I want to eat, or if I don't have what I want to eat, it's like, I don't even feel like eating right now. But that's a whole nother thing.
It's still part of it. It's still part of it. Because that is taking care of you. Like, you know, and that's the thing. If you don't take care of yourself, somebody's got to take care of you, because that's the health part. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure that you're in good health. You have to have nourishment in your body to be healthy. So, yeah.
Sickness in the health, you know, all that and all that. But we don't believe that people actually get married with the intent of saying, I'm going to break my vows. You know, there's so many people that things happen as time goes, and you start thinking like, okay, I didn't marry you, and I've heard people say this, like, you lied to me. Like, you lied to me, you made a promise to me, you said that you wouldn't leave me, blah, 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 and this and that. And it's like, and I've heard the guy say, I did not lie to you. When I married you, I loved you. When I married you and we said our vows, like, I meant those. And I do believe, and we do believe, that people do not get married and say vows with the intent of breaking them. Like, unless it's like a, you know, a setup or something like that. Like, I'm just going to do it just, you know, satisfy whoever wanted us to do this or whatever. But most people do not go into a marriage with the intent of breaking it. There may be some issues you may be dealing with at that time, on a personal level, like some struggles. We all have struggles. And it may be some things you like, oh, I need to get this together. I need to get myself together, because none of us are going to be perfect. Our marriages are not going to be perfect. If you're going into a marriage thinking like, oh, you might have had the perfect wedding where you have all the glam going on, but definitely your marriage is not going to be perfect, because we are not perfect. If you in that position, you're like, I'm perfect, I want my marriage perfect, blah, blah, blah. I'm so sorry to tell you, it's not going to work.
As long as you approach your marriage with the intent to make sure that your spouse is happy, you know what I'm saying? Even sometimes you have to set yourself to the side and be like, you know, I just want to make sure that you're happy. Or, you know what I'm saying, I just want to make sure that you're fed. You know what I'm saying? Or that, you know, just the whole point is that some people end up breaking vows. And that's obvious because, you know, it's just like rich or poor. Sometimes you might start out rich. And if you end up poor, they might bounce on you because they're used to that type of lifestyle. And, you know, that means that they married you for the wrong reasons. You know, and if you start out poor and then you end up rich and then you break up or split up or go your separate ways because, oh, now you got money, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Guess what? You know what I'm saying? You changed. You allowed something to change your perspective of what your marriage was supposed to be like. You know, and not everybody, like, don't get it wrong. Please believe that there are issues and problems in marriages, sometimes that cannot be resolved, but that is on the most extreme levels. Because as coaches, marriage and life coaches, we focus on making sure that you see what it is in the first place. The primary reason why you got married in the first place, the primary reason why you first told that person that you loved them and meant it and knew what love was, because you were willing to put yourself to the side to make sure that they had everything. You know what I'm saying? And not necessarily, not like robbing banks and stuff like that, because hey, you know what? Some people is that die hard and be like, look, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure my baby got whatever she wants. As soon as she say, oh, I want a Ferrari, like you out there like, okay, I'll be back. Ski mask, like, you know what I'm saying? And then some other people allow it to drive them to further their education. And then to level up and go to another level and become more of who they already were, but needed that fire that their spouse gave them in order to become more of who they were.
Yeah, and as we were doing research on these wedding vows, we've heard so many people say, where's the vows at? I've never seen it in the Bible. No, it's not in the Bible. Most Christians and a lot of other religions do the traditional wedding vows. And no, it's not found in the Bible per se, but there is a book of prayers, which was written, which was written by Thomas Kramer back in 1549. And so he was the one that actually wrote the book of prayers. And it's not just the vows that's in there, it's so many other different prayers in there. So no, it's not. So I know a lot of people are like moving towards just non-traditional because they like, it's not in the Bible, wasn't in the Bible, blah, 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 and this and that. It's like, no, it wasn't. It's not. But it is in the book of prayers, and it was written by someone that felt, that it was needed in marriages. And this is like a good foundation for commitment words for the couples. So
there was basically what happened is the Bible is a very good governing. It has plenty of governing scriptures for how a marriage is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So that is one of the contributing factors to how the vows were written in the first place. Yeah. So, if you don't want the traditional vows because you found out just now that it's not in the Bible, and hopefully you didn't find out just now, hopefully you've read some of the Bible enough to know that it's not in there, but you've read enough also to know that how a man and a woman are to be joined together and how they are to conduct themselves in a marriage and a relationship in general is all outlined in the Bible. It really is. Yes.
And so we take those, the words, our commitment words, our vows, whatever, however you want to say, commitment words, vows, and what the Bible says, if you're going by the Bible or on a religious aspect of your life, is that when you're taking all those different things, yeah, sometimes it is hard. They do the trust and obey. And I remember when we said the vows, even when we practice those. And I'm just like, do I have to say that? Because
early on, she was like, nah, it ain't that. I don't care what the Bible says. I'm not obeying nothing.
Well, it's just that word, like obey. And I felt like, how come the guy don't get to say that too?
But it's not about, for us, it says, husbands, love your wives as you love Christ or the church or however that. Yeah. So as Christ loves the church. Yeah. So, how much more obedient can you be? And Christ loves the church. That's all the body of Christ. Like he looks out for all of us. I know sometimes we get in the midst of situations, including in our marriage, and we're like, okay, why you ain't looking out, bruh? It's just, sometimes you are left to your own devices because he wants to see how you're going to react. Likewise, in your marriage, there are certain times where it's not going to be all hunky dory. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to have to figure out, okay, how am I going to react? This would be the better or for worse part.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because honestly, you know, we've had a whole lot of worse, but we've had a whole lot of better. So it's like, and when in retrospect, through the years where we were younger and I was a knobhead dude, I was like really just immature. I was very immature. And, you know, she dealt with a whole lot of stuff and I dealt with a whole lot of stuff from her. But that was like us going through some of the worst moments in our entire marriage. And when we both, well, obviously she was more mature than I was earlier on. When I started really focusing and settling into our marriage and being a father and being a husband, you know, it took a different toll. It took a different light. And it wasn't that the toll that it took was a bad one. It allowed me to cut things out of my life that I didn't need. It allowed me to see that when she was talking about, man, some of your friends is garbage. Like, I was like, nah, no, they ain't. No, they ain't. And I really stopped and looked at my whole circle. Guess what? She is my circle. My wife and my children are my circle. There are a few people that I deal with outside of my house that are, I would consider friends. Other than that, like a lot of the people, matter of fact, everybody that I used to hang around, I don't do it anymore because the lifestyle that they lead, and here's the kicker, they were single, most of them, you know, and she was like,
I was waiting for that part.
How you gonna hang around single friends and you married? Good point. And I didn't think it was a good point until I actually sat back and God started changing my life and the way that I looked at things. He started maturing me and started bringing me into the mindset of a family man and a godly man. And this is not what you should be doing. This is what you should do. Your family needs you to be here and not there. So, you know, the better for worse is like, you know, sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. Sometimes you don't know what it is. It's just a conundrum or a cauldron of a whole bunch of stuff that it's like, man, am I up? Am I down? Am I in the middle? Am I just chilling? You know, and honestly, you know, we want everything to be always on the better side. Right. We always do, you know, but a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes we get selfish. We get in our own you know what I'm saying, our mind frame, and sometimes we don't communicate right. Like, you know, sometimes she don't communicate with me. Sometimes I don't communicate with her. But it's like, You
go back to the better part. You're like, okay, so what was we arguing about? What was the subject? What's going on here? But for better or for worse, it does when you start looking at the situation that's going on. You like, can it be better? Yes. And this is how you can make it better for yourself. Like when you find yourself in that situation, you're like, okay, what's the worst part of this situation? What can be better? So if you got to write it down as individuals, as a couple, and you come together and you be like, okay.
Write it down.
Yes.
Just write it down. Don't even think about it. Write it down.
How can I make it better? How can we make this better? So taking responsibility as well of what could I have responded, done better, whatever. You can make a worse situation better, or you can make a better situation worse because then you're not, as my husband said, you're not communicating. So you can communicate, but communicate the wrong way, right? So for better or for worse, to death do us part.
Oh, by the way, body language is communication. So watch how you use your body language, because a lot of times when you upset with your spouse, your body language will show it a whole lot, like 100% show. Like you cannot hide your body language. It's impossible. And no matter what, if you've been together long enough and you know each other, it doesn't matter what they tell you. Oh, I'm fine. No, you're not. I'm fine. No, you're not. Because you can see through it.
Yeah. But for better or for worse, to death do us part is that to death do us part. You know, a lot of people, if that should ever happen in a marriage, you know, some people never get married again. Some people do. They said more men are more apt to getting married than a woman because of the companionship when they're in their older age. Especially, I've seen it where people have been married for a very long time, and then, 20, 30, 40, 50 some years, and then they still end up getting married even after a year or two after their spouse passed. And sometimes families separate because they like, how did you love mom for so long, and then you get married a year or two later after she's passed, and it is not about the sexual part, but it's about the companionship. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's just understanding what a person is, where they are in their life, asking how they feeling. And I know everybody grieve differently, and that's a whole different topic. Everybody do grieve differently. But when there's a different type of love between a spouse, a husband and a wife. There's a different love when it's your child, or your mom and dad. It's totally different. It's totally different. But when you sharing a bed with somebody, you sharing love and life, it's totally, totally different until you experience it yourself, where you're loving that person and learning that person constantly. You share the bed with them, just doing life with them. And then something happens when they pass. You don't know the ins and outs. You don't know what it feels like at the end of the day, in the middle of the night, what they're going through mentally, physically, all that other stuff. So I would say don't judge people based on that, based on where they at.
You never know what, as spouses, what they may have said to each other. Mm-hmm. If you see the death coming, and it's something that has been progressing. Sometimes the spouse that knows that they're going to pass away will tell them, I don't want you to be alone. I want you to find somebody that will take care of you. But, and sometimes the kids don't know how to react because they just know that was my dad or that was my mom. And how could you, and they don't necessarily know what was spoken between their mother and their father. So, it's a very delicate situation. And even if you share with them what your spouse said and how your spouse conveyed to you that they wanted you to go on with your life, it's still a delicate situation that, some people won't understand how to handle. And it might take a while to get over. But if you start looking at life the way that it is, and life is way too short to constantly be on odds with anybody, and if you can't, I tell you what, if you can't get along with people, like they used to say in school, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, then don't say nothing at all. If you can't be cordial, at least be respectful. It's marriage is such a delicate and a beautiful thing. It disheartens me to think about like abuse and stuff that goes on in a marriage, and it's like, how could you do this to someone that you spoke these vows to? Because the sickness and the health part, then why would you harm someone that you said that you would take care of? Why would you be verbally abusive to someone that you said that you were going to love for better or for worse?
Honor and cherish. Honor
and cherish. Now that's the big part. Honoring and cherishing what you have. A lot of people, when you get money or if you've ever had anything that you valued so much, you cherished it. You might have got a brand new car and you treated that thing like it was your baby. You washed it every day, you vacuumed it out and you waxed it and everything. Like my wife, her ring. She loves her ring. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, she does that whole, thing, and it's like, yeah, we see the ring. But it's like,
it's a different way you would take care of it.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I cherish it. I don't look at it like, oh, okay, it's just another piece of jewelry or costume jewelry, because I love jewelry. But I treat it totally different. So when it's time for me to go get it clean, I go get it clean. All those different things. There's so many, like my husband was saying, like with a car, you're going to take care of different things that you know that you cherish. Something that somebody gave you. So God gave you your spouse. So you cherish that spouse. you know, sometimes, you know, I might be like, ooh, like I gotta take it off or it's dirty and things like that. And sometimes we might do that. We may say something wrong to our spouse. We may do something that they don't agree with. And so we have to clean it up. That means that you have to apologize. Sweetie, babe, like, I apologize. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry for what I said. I'm sorry for
and you should be. Like, nah.
I'm sorry for not holding up my part of the vows because I said I was gonna do this. I said I was gonna cherish you. I was gonna honor you. And those different things, like, I'm not doing that right now. And I apologize, or I didn't do that at that moment. Like, I am so sorry. So that's why I'm saying, like, sometimes you have to go back and think about those vows and stuff, because it makes you look at your marriage and your situation totally different. It allows you to step back out of yourself, as my husband say, not be as selfish or not selfish at all, to realize that it's not about you at this moment. It's about y'all. The marriage is about yourself. You know, people do say, like, the wedding is about the woman, you know, like, it's her day.
It really is. It really is. Don't even get it twisted. It's definitely her day. I dare you to mess it up and see what happens to you. See what happens to you.
Right. So on that note, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back with you.
We vow. We'll be right back.
PGN Consulting knows it didn't start out as a business. It started as a love for little steps and a desire to never let go. When every day was a reason to celebrate and every decision was yours to make, PGN Consulting knows that it's the small things that become legacies. We support our Black-owned small businesses. So if you keep going, we'll keep you growing.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
How are you with your vows?
Yeah, so let's ask this question. So did you do non-traditional vows or did you do traditional vows?
We did traditional.
We did.
And we might have to actually do another wedding, because I feel like now I want to do non-traditional. I want to do my own vows.
I know. I was sitting there and I was thinking that too. I'm like, oh, like I got. And there's people that does they renew their vows every year.
Nah, I'm good. Hey,
every year.
No.
But they go to different they go to destination places or whatever. Like, they actually make, even if it's just a small party of some friends and stuff, like, they do their vows, and then that is not necessarily like the same ones. They may make up something different, like another commitment, because people do change, you know, not like necessarily like, oh, like I flipped the script, I'm a different person. But, you know, as we get older, there's, you know, we talked about this before, there's certain things that you don't tolerate anymore. You know, you get older. So as my husband was talking about, like, we mature, even though I may have matured earlier in the marriage before he did, is that you see things differently in life. So it's on a positive level. So therefore, your words may be totally different. You may feel so different about your wedding vows at that moment. Like, I meant that. Like, I said this, like, this was written down, like, I mean it. It may come out totally different. So that's good for that person, that couple that decides they want to do that every year. Awesome. As my husband say, that is not us. We prefer not to do that, but some people do. You know, it's totally up to you how you want to do it. There's some people that have done it where they did traditional and non-traditional at the same time to cover, you know, the basic of the vows, or the base or foundation, whatever you want to call it. But with that being said, it's just making sure that you are so committed to the words that you have said, written down, whether you written them down or not, but you are saying to one another, and honor that.
I would say literally look up wedding vows before you get married. Read them. Write them down if need be, and think to yourself, are you willing to commit to that? Because you have to love and cherish, honor, sickness and health, till death do you part, richer and poor, all that. I know I mixed them up. Calm down. But I'm just saying, there's a whole lot to it. It's a few words, but those words mean something. They mean a whole lot more than just saying them. So, like, you know, when we were younger and we said we went to the justice, I had no idea what I was saying. Yeah. I really didn't. I didn't take into consideration the gravity of what I was saying, and I didn't really focus on the vow part of the things and what they meant and how to go about fulfilling those vows.
Yeah.
And after our renewal, I was like, whoa, like these really mean something. Yeah. So, you know, and it takes on a different light. And even the more that we grow together in our 22 years of marriage and 24 years of being together, it honestly, it grabs a hold of you even more. It allows you to see that, okay, I said this, did I mean that? And it'll show you, your marriage will show you if you meant it or not. The way that you act in your marriage, the way that you treat your marriage is the same way that you should treat anything that you cherish and that you raise above everything else. So, you know, honestly, like, you know, I was like, At times when we were in our bad spots, we both looking at each other like, I do not like you. And she's like, I don't like you either. You know, but I still love you.
It's that better or for worse. So you got to look at it like, okay, this is our worst spot. Can it get better? And it was like, yeah, it can get better.
It can't get no worse.
It's like, yes, it can get better. So take a moment. If you feel like you're in your worst spot, take that moment to reevaluate your commitment that you made to each other.
Even if you're not, just sit back. After you get done watching this, sit back and think about your vows. Think about your spouse. Think about, are you fulfilling your vows to your spouse and in your marriage?
Yes. And so it's totally up to you. Remember that your wedding day, okay, can be perfect. All of that.
Your version of perfect.
Yes. Your wedding, just the wedding ceremony can be perfect. You got the music, the food, everything was good, everything was great. But also remember, at the end of the day, neither one of us are perfect.
Some of y'all need to be telling whoever is or officiating your wedding to not say that part. If anybody disagrees, to please speak now. You might want to tell, just leave that part out.
Some people do. Some people do. They leave that out because they already know, like, either everybody here supports me, or
there's somebody that's going to say something.
You better not say nothing at all. So some people even take that out. But make sure that, you know, and there's no doubt in your mind that you know that you're not perfect. Your marriage is not going to be perfect. If you're going into your marriage thinking that it's going to be perfect, I got the perfect husband, I have the perfect wife, you're going to be disappointed all day long, because you're not going to have a perfect wedding. A perfect marriage at all, because we're not perfect. There's things that you may need to work on. Some people work on it prior to marriage, and there's some things that we still struggle with, that you still may struggle with as an individual, but it doesn't mean that you have to give up on each other. You have to give up on your marriage or not honor your commitment. And remember that most people, I want to say all, but some people may go into a marriage tricking that person or whatever, and this and that, for whatever selfish reason. But most people go into a marriage, they don't go in with the intent to break their vows or to divorce or anything like that. So when people say, I didn't lie, either the female or the male may say, I didn't lie to you. Like, I do love you. I did mean what I said. Like, our vows did mean something to us. Is that I believe that they really did. They really did. At some point, there's something that happened in the marriage. But to get from that worse to that better, it can happen.
And you can fix any problem, with the exception of, like abuse. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that can't even be fixed, but the mind state of whoever is doing the abusing has got to change before anything else can be fixed. So if you need help or any kind of, what am I trying to say here?
What's on a abuse part?
No, just in general, if you need any kind of help or someone to support you, find you, and if you're going through the worst part in your marriage, find you a coach like us, find you a counselor, find you somebody, go to your pastor, go to somebody. Try to stay away from family though, because they're going to give you their opinion because they love you so much and they don't want to see anything bad happen to you. Plus, if you have some abuse going on, that could set off a whole different set of problems.
Definitely seek out help.
Seek out help. If you have any abuse at all whatsoever, male or female, in your relationship, please seek help. And with that said, we love y'all so very much.
Thank you all for supporting us, for watching us. And remember that non-traditional or traditional vows, it's totally up to you.
Just mean what you say what you mean.